The human body is like a finely tuned physical machine, packed with incredible power. But to keep this machine running smoothly, it needs fuel. That fuel, my friends, is what we call food. God wired us with this natural craving for food, known as hunger, ensuring that our bodies get the sustenance they need. Food not only satisfies our hunger but also gives us the energy we need to keep the wheels turning in this grand cycle of life. Now, in this day and age, why on earth would someone choose to go hungry? We've been raised to believe that eating 3 square meals a day is the way to go. From childhood, we're drilled with the idea that a hearty breakfast sets the tone for the day. Eat up, grow strong, they say. School taught us to fuel up with 3 meals and get moving to build our strength. So, what's with skipping meals? Well, in today's world, skipping meals is often labeled as dieting. People do it to shed pounds or for health reasons. But there's another side to it, a spiritual side. This practice, my friends, is what the Bible calls fasting. Fasting involves abstaining from food for a set period, all in pursuit of a spiritual goal. Let me take you back to the Old Testament for a moment. Once a year, according to Leviticus 16 verse 29, the Jewish faithful were required to fast. It was a solemn occasion, happening on the 10th day of the 7th month. On this day, known as Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement, people were to afflict their souls, refraining from work and fasting. Why? Because it was a time to reflect on their salvation. It was a day when everyone, without exception, came together in fasting as God intended. Picture this: the high priest stepping into the Holy of Holies, offering the blood of an animal as atonement for the sins of all. It was a powerful moment, a reminder of the deep, spiritual significance of fasting. In Leviticus 16 verse 4, it's described how the high priest would prepare himself in the holy place, washing his flesh with water, donning his garments, and then stepping out to offer burnt offerings for himself and the people. This ritual was part of the Day of Atonement, a time when the sins of the nation were addressed. Everyone fasted, aligning themselves with the high priest who made sacrifices for forgiveness. Jesus also spoke about fasting to his disciples, as recorded in Matthew 6 verses 16 to 18. He advised them not to put on a gloomy face like the hypocrites when they fast, who make it obvious to others. Instead, Jesus urged them to maintain a normal appearance, so that only their Father in heaven would know they were fasting, and he would reward them accordingly. Jesus' message was clear: fasting should be a private act of devotion, not a public display. Fasting, you see, is about temporarily setting aside physical desires, like food, to focus on spiritual needs. It's a time of dedicated prayer and seeking God's guidance. But Jesus warned against fasting for the sake of gaining approval from others. He emphasized that fasting should be genuine and heartfelt, not a show for applause. Now, let's talk about some common concerns people have about fasting. For those who've never tried it, the idea of going without food can be intimidating. Many worry about feeling hungry or experiencing painful hunger pangs, especially since we're accustomed to eating 3 meals a day. Others have different concerns, like whether fasting will affect their energy levels or if it's safe for their health. People hesitate to embark on a fasting journey if they're unsure they can endure it. No one wants to start something they can't finish. What if you're tempted by a TV ad claiming a chocolate bar will cure your afternoon energy dip? And then there's the concern about what friends will think. Will they find it odd if you mention you're fasting? Well, here's the thing: fasting isn't about impressing anyone, not even your pals. As Jesus wisely put it, keep it low-key. Anoint your head, wash your face, and let it be between you and the big guy upstairs. Matthew 6 verses 17 to 18 hits the nail on the head. Jesus wasn't into flashy displays of religious devotion. Fasting is a personal pact between you and God. Sometimes, sure, you might join in a group fast, like with your church or a buddy, to tackle a specific issue. Ezra fasted with 4,000 folks, and Esther rallied all Jewish believers to fast for divine help. Fasting isn't about shedding pounds or nixing certain foods for health reasons. It's a spiritual thing, a tool to deepen your connection with the divine. Pair it with prayer, and you're in business. It's a practice rooted in the Bible, a way to level up your spiritual strength and become a prayer warrior. Some might think Christians don't need discipline, but hey, even soldiers need training. And as soldiers of Christ, we gotta keep sharp. A good soldier knows a thing or two about discipline. Fasting is just one piece of the Christian discipline puzzle. Jesus warned his disciples that when you pray for others, whether it's for your church or someone's salvation, you can expect pushback from Satan. Fasting, much like scaling a mountain, demands both spiritual and physical stamina. So, before you dive in, know that the journey ahead might be tough, but the payoff is huge. If you're new to fasting, start small. Your first step of faith, no matter how humble it may seem, won't go unnoticed by the big guy upstairs. And remember, it's not just about going through the motions. God cares about your attitude. Just like a marriage proposal, it's not about how long it is, but the sincerity behind it. So, when you embark on a fast, don't stress about the duration. Focus on keeping your connection with God strong and sincere. That's what really matters. God isn't interested in the length of your prayers, He's all about the sincerity. So, if you're new to fasting, ease into it. Start by skipping just one meal. Back in the Old Testament, Jews were required to fast for a single day on Yom Kippur each year. A day, in their calendar, began at sunset and ended at sunset the following day, following the pattern set in Genesis 1 verse 5 where the evening and the morning made up the first day. To kick off your fasting journey, try starting at sunset or just before. Skip your evening meal, then pass on breakfast and lunch the next day. At sunset, most Jews would break their fast with a regular meal. Now, here's a tip: fasting with a buddy can make the journey easier. While private prayer and fasting are crucial, having a partner can provide strength and support, especially if you're new to it. If you're fasting for a specific prayer request, consider teaming up with someone. Jesus himself emphasized the power of agreement in prayer in Matthew 18 verses 18 to 19. When two people align their hearts and minds in prayer, powerful things happen. So, think of fasting with a friend like planning a vacation together. You're in it together, supporting each other every step of the way. Sharing experiences with someone else always makes them more memorable. Think about it: when you go on vacation with a friend, the whole trip becomes richer and more enjoyable. The same goes for fasting. When you fast and pray alongside someone, your prayers become more focused, more powerful. But there's more to fasting with a buddy than just spiritual synergy. It's like having a built-in support system. If you're feeling unsure or intimidated by fasting, having a friend by your side can give you the boost you need. You can talk through your doubts, ask questions, and lean on each other for encouragement. A simple phone call can be all it takes to keep each other motivated. And let's not forget the celebration. When you achieve something on your own, sure, it's a personal victory. But when you conquer a challenge with others, the joy is multiplied. You celebrate together, embrace the achievement, and share the excitement with everyone. It's like climbing a mountain with friends. The view from the top is even sweeter when you've got your buddies cheering you on. Plus, fasting with a friend adds an extra layer of accountability. Knowing that someone else is aware of your commitment makes it easier to stay on track. It's like having a workout buddy. You're less likely to skip a session when you know someone's counting on you. So, whether you're a seasoned faster or just starting out, having a friend join you on your fasting journey can make all the difference. Together, you'll not only strengthen your spiritual resolve but also deepen your bond as friends. While fasting with a friend can be incredibly beneficial, there's also value in embarking on a solo journey. Fasting with purpose is key. Before you begin, take a moment to delve deep into your heart and figure out why you're fasting. There are countless reasons people fast, each as unique as the individual undertaking the fast. Think about young David facing Goliath. None of the other Israeli soldiers wanted to take on the giant. They had their reasons, their doubts. But David? He had a clear, compelling reason to face that particular giant head-on. Similarly, your fast should be driven by a strong purpose. Fasting isn't just about going without food, it's about sacrificing for a cause. Are you willing to give up your comforts and pleasures for the sake of your purpose? Write down your reasons, make a list. Seeing them on paper brings clarity and focus. Don't just keep your reasons in your head, where they can become vague or easily forgotten. Seeing them written down sharpens your resolve. And remember, planning is key. Don't approach your fast casually or half-heartedly. Plan for success. If you go into it haphazardly, you're setting yourself up for failure. And above all, don't fast just to test your limits. Have a purpose, a reason that drives you forward. That's what will see you through to the end. When it comes to fasting, some folks say they'll give it a shot until they feel hungry, but then they throw in the towel at the first pang of discomfort. If you're serious about fasting, you've got to make a firm commitment. Decide to fast for a day, no matter what comes your way. You've already taken the first step by considering fasting and wanting to deepen your spiritual connection. Now, it's time to take it up a notch and commit to seeking God for your cause. Your commitment to fast is rooted in God's grace and assistance. Now, let's talk about different types of fasts. There's the absolute fast, where you abstain from both food and water. This is what Paul did for 3 days after encountering the Lord Jesus on the road to Damascus and being struck blind. But let me tell you, for your first fast, it's best not to dive straight into the absolute fast. This one's reserved for folks facing serious distress or dealing with major issues, like breaking free from addiction or seeking protection from harm. Now, let's break down the different types of fasts you can consider. First up, we have the normal fast. During this fast, you steer clear of solid food and stick to liquids only. In biblical terms, this often meant abstaining from all solid food, with the matter of drinking liquids left a bit ambiguous. For example, when Jesus fasted for 40 days, it's mentioned that he ate nothing, but there's no specific mention of him drinking liquids, Luke 4 verse 2. When it comes to liquids, many opt to skip pleasurable drinks like soda and fancy fruit juices, aligning with the Old Testament's description of afflicting oneself during fasting, Isaiah 58 verse 3. Next, we have the partial fast. This one's about eliminating certain foods or drinks while still allowing yourself some sustenance. It's often referred to as the Daniel fast, inspired by Daniel's refusal to indulge in the king's lavish meals. Instead, he and his buddies opted for veggies and water for 10 days, and they came out of it just fine, Daniel 1 verse 12. Daniel also practiced a partial fast on another occasion, as described in Daniel 10 verse 3, where he avoided choice foods, meat, wine, and even lotions for 3 weeks. So, whether you're going for a normal fast with liquids only or opting for a partial fast with specific dietary restrictions, each type has its own merits and can help you draw closer to God in your fasting journey. When it comes to fasting, there are various approaches you can take, each tailored to your preferences and goals. Let's delve into a few options. First off, we've got the dessert fast. This one's all about bidding adieu to those sugary delights like donuts and cakes. It's a way to challenge yourself to resist the temptations of sweet treats and focus on your spiritual journey. Next up, we have the meat fast. This involves adopting a meat-free diet for a set period. By abstaining from meat, you're not only practicing self-discipline but also embracing a healthier, plant-based lifestyle. Then there's the wine fast. Anything that brings pleasure or joy, like wine, is off the menu during this fast. It's a way to detach from earthly pleasures and turn your focus towards spiritual matters. Now, let's take a look at John Wesley's fasting regimen. As the founder of the Methodist movement, Wesley fasted for 10 days before each conference, consuming only natural whole grain bread and water. His dedication to fasting and prayer paved the way for impactful ministries and the establishment of the largest Protestant denomination in the world. Lastly, there's the rotation fast, a less common approach used primarily for medical purposes. This fast involves alternating between different food groups to identify potential allergies or intolerances. It's a systematic way to cleanse the body and pinpoint any dietary triggers. When choosing a fast, it's essential to consider your individual circumstances and goals. Think about what will challenge you spiritually and align with your health needs. And remember, fasting isn't one size fits all. Explore different approaches until you find what works best for you. For first-time fasting, there are a few factors to consider. If you're new to fasting, I suggest starting with a one-day Yom Kippur fast. It's a good way to ease into fasting without overwhelming yourself. If you're looking to fast for a longer period, like addressing a serious issue, you might want to try fasting 1 day a week for 3 weeks instead of jumping straight into a 3-day fast. Remember, it's all about taking it slow and steady as you navigate this new journey. Your first fast should be a normal fast, where you abstain from solid food and stick to liquids for 1 day. This helps your body adjust gradually and prepares you for more extended fasts in the future. When choosing the type of fast, try to match it with the reason behind your fast. For routine requests, a normal fast will suffice. But for more serious problems, you might opt for a stricter fast with more stringent requirements. It's crucial to feel comfortable with both the duration and type of fast you choose. Don't doubt yourself or feel guilty about your decision. Pick a fast that aligns with your beliefs and feels right for you. Consider timing as well. Take a look at your weekly schedule and think about which days are suitable for fasting. Avoid fasting on days with special events or when it's not advisable for health reasons. Listen to your body and choose a time when you can fully commit to the fast without any distractions or interruptions. When considering the timing of your fast, keep in mind important events like Thanksgiving, Christmas, weddings, and other celebrations. It's best to avoid starting a fast during these occasions as they may interfere with your fasting experience. As a first-timer, it's wise not to dive straight into a long fast. You're embarking on a new journey, and it's essential to be mindful of how your body and emotions may react. Starting with a manageable one-day fast allows you to gauge your experience and adjust accordingly. Regardless of the type of fast you choose, remember that it's ultimately an act of faith. God sees the sincerity of your heart and will reward your efforts accordingly. May we all seek wisdom to understand the spiritual purpose and benefits of fasting, focusing on deepening our connection with God through prayer. Let's fast not for the approval of others, but to draw closer to the heart of God, who sees our intentions in secret and rewards openly. We give thanks to the Lord for the strength and discipline that fasting instills in us, teaching us to rely more on Him and less on ourselves. Amen. If you found this content valuable, I invite you to support us by subscribing to our channel. Together, we can enlighten more minds and expand our understanding. Thank you for being here, and may God bless you abundantly.